All right, if you never have enough Mesos for events, you find yourself just not having enough, or you keep zeroing out just constantly, like day by day or week by week, and you don't want to be doing that. Overall, you're spending Mesos more than you want to be and you're not saving as much. I'm going to help you out in this video. I'm going to explain what I think the issues are and the beliefs that I have around Mesos to actually save as much as possible. So we'll just get straight into it with tip number one. So this is the most important tip I would say out of everything. It's my like North Star when it comes to Mesos. You have to make spending Mesos a lot harder to do than saving Mesos, which might sound like duh, right? You have to make it easier to save than it is to spend. Like, you have to actually think about specific ways to do that. So something as simple as, if my Mesos are on my character, like if I had like, let's say 200 bill on my character every time I opened up my inventory, I'm going to be a lot more likely to spend Mesos than if I didn't, like if I opened up my inventory and I had 0 right now, right? Like, I'm not going to spend because I don't have any Meso to spend. So overall, you need to make it a lot easier for you to save than it is for you to spend. And a good example is, let's say in real life, you were somebody who had no debit cards, no credit cards, no cash. All of your money was in your bank. And you had to withdraw money every single time you had to spend. Like, let's say you had to go to the grocery store, you had to go withdraw the money from the bank first. Or if you, anytime you spend money, you have to do that. You're going to spend a lot less money by default just because you have to do all that extra work to get your money. To spend on Amazon, if you were in that situation, you'd have to go to the bank, withdraw the money, go to like a Walgreens or a Target or something, buy an Amazon gift card, go back home, put in the gift card, buy what you want on Amazon. Think about how much work that is. There's no shot you're going to be doing that very often unless you really need something, because it requires so much work. You need the equivalent of that in MapleStory. So if you really don't want to spend your Mesos, make it hard. That's a very good example of real life, but make it hard in the game to spend money. You want to make it like extremely hard and require that much amount of work, because then you're just not going to do it just because it's too much work. Which also, that leads into my second point. Another thing I believe is that humans are lazy by nature. So like, by nature, if you have two options, you're going to take the lazier option unless you have a really, really good reason to take the less lazy option, which means most of the time you're going to take the lazy option. You can use that to your advantage. But like, use the laziness to your advantage by making it easier to save money. Like, if it requires all this work, you're not going to do it because you're lazy, right? I'm speaking from me too. Is like, I'm lazy and I know that, right? So like, going to the gym is the hardest thing for me to do. Not being there. Like, once I'm there, I'm working out, no question. Go literally, like, driving to the gym is hard for me to do. Obviously, if I wanted to use that to my advantage in the gym, it would be living like getting an apartment a block away from the gym, or on the same block as the gym, or having a gym in my house, right? Or having like some dumbbells or something that I can use in like a bench. Third, that I think is also a very good one, is I believe how you spend Mesos in this game is a reflection of how you spend money in real life. The reason I do that is because if you bring those things together and I correlate Mesos with money in real life, and I know that I'll never want to be bad with money in real life, I'm never going to want to be bad with Mesos in the game. If I'm bad with Mesos, I'm bad with money, right? So it's very simple correlation. How I spend in the game is a reflection of how I spend in real life. So I'm never going to spend impulsively in the game. And I might do it every once in a while, but that's fine, because that means I'll do it every once in a while in real life. If I'm doing it every other day, I'm zeroing out. Chances are I am zeroing out every other day in real life, right? If you make that correlation, it's going to make you better at saving because you're correlating it to real life money. Next, number 4, there's a Nietzsche quote. It's a very common quote, but it's, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." What that means is, if you have a why, a strong enough why, you could bear almost any how, which means you could do almost anything for that why. So what that means is you need a why. You need a reason to save versus spending, and it has to be a good one. You need a goal. It's like, for example, let's say your reason for saving Mesos is, I want to save for cube sale. That's not good enough. It needs to be very specific. I'll show you what I mean by that. Very specific in the sense, I do this for every big event, every cube sale, every shining. 1 to 3 months before, I'll do this and I will save everything I have basically until that point, because I have a very strong why. I need to 3-line my sup ring that costs 4.5 bill. I need to 3-line my sub pendant that costs 4.5 bill. I want to 3-line my weapon that costs like 40 bill, right? It's like, it's specific. I have every single item in here, how much it costs. I even have the current pot versus the how much I will actually get. So like, I'm missing 3% on here, I'm missing 3% here, I'm missing 3% luck here, right? So I have all of that I have the total amount it'll cost median and 75%. So my Y is very strong. I know I need 90 bill Mesos by the cube sale to hit everything I want on the median. Obviously it's more if I'm in the 75%, it's like double. So make your Y really strong. And the easiest way for me to do that is by having a goal and then being very specific about the goals. Like, what stuff do I want to hit on this event? How much does that stuff cost? How much does it cost altogether? Those are like the 3 things that I want. That's usually what I do, and it helps me a lot because it gives me a very strong why, which will make me save. It's like, 1, I need to know I hit 90 bill, and if I hit this 90 bill, make your why stronger. Like, add stuff in until it's like 180 bill, and maybe you'll never even hit that by the time the event happens, but that's fine because you'll keep saving because you'll never hit that. Like, if your target, let's say, is 500 billion Mesos and it's got a ton of stuff and you never hit the 500 bill, that's fine because you're going to keep going because you still haven't hit your goal yet, right? So not hitting the goal is actually kind of helpful because it makes you keep going. The fact that I already hit 90 bill, after I get over that 90 bill point, my Y might not be strong enough past 90 bill. So I might just save the 90 bill and then spend money after that because I already hit my goal. So if you already hit your goal and your Y was really strong, make your Y even stronger for a new goal. It's very simple. Just make your Y really strong and it's going to give you a much better reason to save your Mesos. Like, if your Y is way stronger for saving than it is for spending, you're not going to spend because your Y is stronger. And this is a good example. I even have I have a video of the Shining from the winter one. I have like I don't know, it was like a 1 to 3 hour video. I don't remember how long, of me just doing the math of figuring out all my goals for that event. And that was the event where I doubled my CP, and I also saved Mesos for 3 months straight I spent nothing. The only money I spent on in 3 months was boss meals. I just created boss meals. That was it. Other than that, I saved every single Meso for 3 months straight. It was because I had a very strong why. Next, super simple. I kind of went over this already, but out of sight, out of mind. So again, if my Mesos are out of sight, they're out of mind, right? So if I open up my inventory on my main and I have 0 Mesos, they are out of sight. If I open up my storage and I have very little Meso, it's out of sight, right? So the best move I would say is keep it on a different character because that's the most out of sight it could be. If it's on a character you don't play, that's very out of sight, out of mind. I also like to out of sight / don't know. Out of sight, don't know, in the sense that I don't like to know my Meso total amount. So whenever I'm finished, let's say I do like 4 boss meals or something one day after a Wednesday reset, and I have like 5 bill in here. What I'll do is I'll go on the character that has the money. I won't look. I will try my best. I won't even look at the right side of how much money it has total. I will just deposit the money instantly, close it, and then switch characters. Like, I will have no clue how much I have in total. I'll just know how much I'm adding. So like, I might know I'm adding 4 bill, but I won't look at the right amount to see how much I have in total. And that helps a lot because if you don't know how much you have, you're not really going to have the urge to spend, because when I'm on my main, all I see is 0 and like 2 bill right now, right? So like in my head, I'm broke because I don't know the actual amount. If I knew the amount was like 125 bill, that's still going to give me like a little bit of desire to want to actually spend the money. So like, make it out of sight. Try your best not to look at it. Even when you go on the character, just deposit the money and call it a day. I think also too, how much you have to do to prevent yourself from spending, like how hard you have to make it, is very much dependent on how addicted you are to spending and zeroing out. I'm not super addicted to it, so I don't have to do a ton of stuff. The more addicted you are, the more you're going to have to do. You might have to make it a lot harder than me, for example. So you kind of just have to figure it out based on how addicted you are. And you'll know because you'll try it. Like, let's say, for example, you put your money on a different character, right? That you don't play, but you still find yourself spending a lot. You got to do something else. You got to add something else to it until you get to the point where you can save as much as you want. So it all depends on how addicted you are to spending your Meso. The final thing is that I think of MapleStory players like drug addicts. That might sound a little crazy, but I'll explain. When it comes to making gains, I think MapleStory players are like drug addicts. You can hear people, they like have a literal itch in their voice to make gains, and that you can hear it. It's very obvious. And I correlate that with drug addicts who like, they'll have an itch for whatever drug they're doing. They'll have an itch for it. And I correlate those things together. So like, when I hear that from somebody, I literally think of a drug addict who is having the same itch, but for like getting drugs, obviously, instead of spending Mesos. And I correlate them together. And I look at the other one as bad, so I never want to be that, so I'm not going to do it because of the correlation that I made. It's kind of similar to the real money versus Mesos and how you spend. But yeah, the main thing is like, people will be like itching in their voice for gains. The other thing to consider is, why are you itching? Are you itching because you just want to make gains? Or are you itching because you need these specific things to be able to progress to the next boss that you want to be able to do? Those are two very different things. Let's say, for example, they're just itching because they haven't hit a gain in, like, I haven't hit a gain in 3 months. I need a gain. I need it, right? I've heard that literal sentence like last week. That's the drug addict side. And then there's, I want to progress to the next boss. Let's say it's X lot, right? I need to hit 285. I need to put 1K more frags into my hexa. And then I also need to 3-line 3 items. Let's say my 3 accessories, right? If you spend your money doing, those two, obviously for me saying it, that's very different, right? They're just, I need to hit because I'm addicted. I have these very specific things that I need to do to be able to progress to this next boss. Very different. If you're on the left side, the drug addict thing might help you a lot. If you're on the right side, you're probably doing it right anyways. But I think that's important. Whenever you have that itch, why do you want the gain? You have to ask yourself that. It's like, if you want the gain and it actually progresses you, and I'm not talking progresses like it gives you 0.2% towards the next boss and you need like 10%, like that's going to do nothing, right? That one gain literally does nothing. It just makes you feel good because you got a gain, right? Which is the itch. If the gain helps you, that's very different. If the gain gives you like 0.2% and you're like 10% away, then it's like, at that point, it makes more sense to just wait for the event, save and spend your money on the event, because you could probably do a lot of 0.2% on that event if you had the money, which would make you closer to that 10% overall. This point summed up would be like, control the itch. Everybody has it probably to an extent. It's just how well you control it and how much you actually have it. And the more you indulge it, the more you're going to want to keep indulging it. And you'll need to indulge it at a higher level to feel the same, because it's all like a dopamine thing at the end of the day, right? Like when you make a gain, it's definitely a dopamine hit. If you make a gain because you're feeling the itch and you get a dopamine hit, you're gonna have to make more gains to get that same level of dopamine that you got from the first one, and it's gonna keep getting higher and higher and higher. Control your itch and it controls your dopamine towards making gains as well. For me, for example, I almost exclusively spend on events. I will get just a very large amount of dopamine on the event because I will spend I will zero out 250 bill on an event, right? That's a lot, but I saved for a long time to get that much. And I'm going to make a ton of gains on that event and get a huge amount of dopamine. And then I'm going to do it again. So I'm just going to wait, save all my money, next event, do the exact same thing. And I've created that cycle. So it makes it a lot easier for me to not spend on events, because one, my huge dopamine hits come from the event because I save a ton of money and spend a ton of money and make a ton of gains. But like, I have a video doubling my CP. I gained 100 mil in like 4 days, right? Because I saved for it. Everybody thinks it's super lucky. Obviously hitting the stuff is lucky, saving the mesos is not. So that's like all the tips I have. A lot of it is more mindset and belief stuff. The next video I'm going to be going over is like specific stuff. So like the next meso video I have specifically is the top 5 things you're spending on that actually is like wasting your money. So something like off eventing is a good example of that. But like my next video will be that. So make sure to like if you like this type of content, and subscribe if you want to know when I post that video and future videos. Also, if you have any meso tips that help you, put them down in the comments below. If you didn't agree with anything, or if you did agree with anything, feel free to also comment that. I will see you in the next one.